First Contact and Intimidation. The vastness of space had always promised humanity both wonder and terror. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Horizon, her dark eyes fixed on the view screen where three massive ships approached. They resembled polished obsidian pyramids, each one at least 20 times the size of her vessel, their surfaces reflecting starlight in hypnotic patterns. "They're hailing us, Captain," Lieutenant Park said, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "Audio and visual." Elena straightened her uniform jacket. Humanity had been exploring beyond their solar system for only 30 years, and while they had encountered several alien species, none possessed technology this advanced. "Put them through." The view screen flickered, and Elena found herself staring at a being that defied easy description. Its body appeared to be composed of interlocking geometric shapes that constantly realigned themselves, held within a vaguely humanoid silhouette. 6 glowing points that might have been eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern focused on her. "I am Sovereign Executor Zax of the Vex Imperium," the being said, its voice a harmonic blend of tones that somehow conveyed perfect clarity. "You have entered territory claimed by the Vex for 100,000 cycles. Identify your species and purpose." Elena forced herself to maintain eye contact with the strange being. "I am Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We are humans from the planet Earth, and we come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship." The geometric shapes comprising the alien's form shifted in what Elena interpreted as amusement. "Humans, your kind is unknown to us. Our scans indicate your vessel's technology is rudimentary. How far have you spread from your homeworld?" "We have colonized 13 star systems," Elena replied with pride. It had been humanity's greatest achievement. 13? The harmonics in Zax's voice shifted to something that felt like derision. "The Vex Imperium spans 17,000 systems across 3 spiral arms of this galaxy. We have existed as a spacefaring civilization for longer than your species has walked upright." Elena felt her crew's unease, but kept her voice steady. "We may be young among the stars, Sovereign Executor, but we believe all species have something valuable to offer one another." "A quaint sentiment," Zax replied. "We have examined the data transmissions from your vessel. Your technology follows predictable patterns of development. Your biological structure is unremarkable. Your art and culture are chaotic and without purpose." Behind Elena, Commander Ishida, her science officer, whispered, "Captain, I'm detecting unprecedented energy readings from their vessels. Their technology operates on principles I've never seen before." Elena nodded slightly, keeping her focus on the alien. "Sovereign Executor, we would welcome the opportunity to learn from the Vex Imperium and share what we know." "The Vex do not share," Zax stated flatly. "We assimilate what is useful and discard what is not. Your species will be catalogued and assigned appropriate function within the Imperium. Prepare your government to receive our terms of integration." Elena's diplomatic smile faded. "With respect, we are not seeking integration. Earth and its colonies are independent. Independence is inefficient," Zax interrupted. "Observe." One of the smaller Vex vessels shifted position. A beam of golden light lanced out toward a nearby asteroid. The rock, nearly a kilometer in diameter, didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, leaving not even dust behind. "Matter to energy. Conversion at perfect efficiency," Zax explained. "This is but one example of Vex technological superiority. You have 14 of your Earth days to prepare your leadership for our arrival. Integration is not optional." The communication ended, abruptly. Elena turned to her crew, their faces pale with shock. "Send an emergency transmission to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. We need every ship in the fleet mobilized." Commander Ishida approached with a data pad. Captain, I've been analyzing their transmissions. The Vex technology is incredibly advanced, but there's something odd about it. Every system, every component appears to follow the exact same architectural principles. No redundancies, no variations. Perfect uniformity. Is that significant? Elena asked. Ishida nodded slowly. In human engineering, we've learned that the most resilient systems embrace variation and redundancy. Perfect systems are often the most vulnerable to unexpected variables. Elena stared at the massive Vex ships through the view screen. We're definitely an unexpected variable. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. We need to prepare for what's coming. As the horizon accelerated away, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was about to face its greatest challenge. But in her gut, she sensed that Commander Ishida had identified something crucial. The Vex's perfect technology might contain the very flaw that could save humanity. The Vex gave humanity 14 days. Earth used every minute. By the time 3, Vex cruisers entered Earth's solar system. The combined fleet of Earth and its colonies had assembled. 300 ships of varying sizes and capabilities. The largest military force humans had ever gathered. Captain Reyes, promoted to admiral for the coming conflict, stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance. "They're approaching Jupiter's orbit, Admiral," reported her tactical officer. "Maintaining constant speed and formation." Elena nodded. "Open. A channel." Sovereign Executor Zax appeared on screen, geometric form shifting in precise patterns. "Your defensive arrangement is noted but irrelevant. Have you prepared your leadership for integration?" "We have prepared our response," Elena replied coldly. "Humanity rejects integration into the Vex Imperium. We claim the right to self-determination." Zax's form vibrated slightly. "Rejection is illogical. Integration is optimal for all species. Those who resist are eliminated. This is your final opportunity." "We understand the consequences," Elena said, "and we have a message for you. Humans don't respond well to threats." Zax's form contracted slightly. "Then your species will learn through demonstration." The communication ended. The 3 Vex cruisers accelerated toward the human fleet, golden energy building around their apexes. "All ships, execute Chaos Protocol," Elena ordered. The human fleet, which had been arranged in a standard defensive formation, suddenly broke apart. Ships moved in seemingly random directions, no two following the same pattern. The Vex weapons fired, brilliant golden beams that cut through space with perfect precision, but hit only 4 human vessels. The rest had already shifted position. Unpredictably, Commander Ishida, now Elena's executive officer, smiled grimly. "They're targeting where military doctrine says our ships should be, not where they actually are." Elena nodded. "They think in patterns. We're breaking them. All ships, commence firing." The human fleet unleashed its arsenal. Conventional weapons, missiles, railguns, lasers, impacted the Vex shields with minimal effect. But they weren't meant to cause damage. They were meant to gather data. "Analysis complete," Ishida reported. "Their shield frequencies adapt in a mathematical progression, perfectly predictable once you have the baseline, transmitting targeting solutions to all ships." The human fleet adjusted their weapons. The next volley penetrated the shields of one Vex cruiser, causing visible damage to its obsidian surface. On screen, Sovereign Executor Zax returned, his geometric form moving more rapidly. "Your resistance exceeds predicted parameters. Interesting. We will adjust accordingly." The Vex ships changed formation, spreading out to target the human fleet from multiple angles. Their weapons fired in complex patterns that should have trapped the human vessels. But Elena had anticipated this. "All ships, random jump protocol," she ordered. Half the human fleet activated their experimental jump drives, disappearing from their positions and reappearing at seemingly random coordinates throughout the solar system. The Vex weapons fired into empty space. "Their tactical algorithms are failing to predict our movements," Ishida reported. But Admiral, our advantage won't last. They're already analyzing our jump patterns. Elena knew he was right. This wasn't a battle they could win through direct confrontation. All ships, commence tactical retreat. Draw them toward Neptune. As the human fleet pulled back, the Vex pursued, exactly as Elena had predicted. They followed the most efficient, interception course, directly through the path of Neptune's largest moon, Triton. Now, Commander Harris, Elena ordered. On Triton's surface, recently installed gravity generators activated at maximum power. The Vex ships, committed to their perfectly calculated course, couldn't adjust quickly enough as Triton's gravity well suddenly increased tenfold. The massive cruisers were pulled off course, their perfect formation broken. Fire all antimatter warheads, Elena commanded. The human fleet launched their most powerful weapons. The warheads detonated against the now vulnerable sections of the Vex ships where their shields had weakened from the unexpected gravitational stress. One Vex cruiser exploded in a blinding flash. Another listed heavily, its perfect symmetry broken, leaking golden energy into space. The third remained operational but damaged. On the view screen, Sovereign Executor Zax appeared again. But now, his geometric form seemed less stable, its patterns shifting erratically. Impossible. The harmonics in his voice had lost their perfection. Your technology is inferior. Your tactics are unpredictable, Elena finished for him. That's something you'll learn about humans, Sovereign Executor. We don't follow your patterns. The Vex Imperium has never failed in an integration, Zax stated, his tone now containing an edge that might have been anger. This system is merely one of many targets. You cannot defend them all. We will return with forces beyond your comprehension. The communication cut off. The two remaining Vex ships accelerated away, vanishing into faster-than-light travel. The bridge of the Defiance erupted in cheers, but Elena remained solemn. They'll be back, she said to Ishida, and next time they'll be ready for our tricks. Ishida nodded. But now we know their weakness. Perfect systems break when faced with the unexpected. And no one does unexpected better than humans. Elena looked out at her fleet, damaged but largely intact, a testament to human ingenuity against overwhelming odds. Send word to Earth and all colonies. This isn't over, it's just beginning. The Vex have never failed in integration before, which means they've never encountered humanity before. She turned to face her crew, her expression resolute. They're about to learn why that's a problem for them, not for us. The silent resistance. 6 months after the Battle of Neptune, the war had turned against humanity. The Vex had returned, as Admiral Reyes predicted, with a force that dwarfed their initial expedition. 300 Vex ships descended upon human colonies, their tactics altered to counter the chaotic strategies that had previously confounded them. They no longer pursued direct military confrontation. Instead, they isolated human settlements one by one, cutting off communications and supplies. Perfect siege warfare, executed with mechanical precision. On the colony world Nova Terra, Dr. Maya Okafor stared at the massive Vex ship hovering over the capital city. As the colony's lead researcher in artificial intelligence, she had been analyzing Vex communication patterns since they arrived 2 weeks ago. They're learning from us, she told Governor Richards as they stood in the underground command center. Each time we develop a new defense, they adapt their approach. But, she emphasized, bringing up a holographic display, they adapt along predictable vectors. They observe, analyze, and implement the optimal counter-strategy. Richards frowned at the display. How does that help us? If they can counter everything we do? Because they're still thinking like machines, Maya interrupted. They optimize. Every adaptation follows the mathematically perfect response to our actions. But what if our actions don't have a mathematically perfect response? Before Richards could answer, the bunker's communication system activated. The familiar geometric form of a Vex commander appeared on screen. Your defensive capabilities have been thoroughly analyzed, the Vex stated. You will now be processed for integration. Around the city, thousands of smaller Vex units descended from the mothership. They moved in perfect synchronization, forming concentric circles that tightened around population centers. Maya turned to Richards. "Governor, I need control of all the city's automated systems. Traffic lights, water management, power grid, everything." "What are you planning?" Richards asked as he authorized the access. Maya's fingers flew across the interface. "The Vex expect us to defend logically, to protect population centers, government buildings, military installations. So we won't." She activated her program. Across the city, chaos erupted. Sprinkler systems activated in some neighborhoods while power surged and failed in random patterns across others. Traffic control systems directed vehicles in bizarre, circuitous routes. Environmental systems in some buildings began rapidly cycling between extreme temperatures. The Vex advance faltered. Their perfect formations began to break as they encountered unpredicted variables in every sector. "They can't process the randomness," Maya explained. "Their systems are trying to identify the strategic purpose behind our actions, but there isn't one." Outside, the Vex units had stopped their advance entirely, frozen in position as their collective intelligence attempted to calculate a response to the apparently insane behavior of the human systems. Maya's interface pinged with an incoming transmission, not from the Vex, but from a resistance cell operating in orbit. "Dr. Okafor, this is Kai Chen. Your distraction worked. We've infiltrated the Vex mothership while their processing power is diverted to analyzing your ground activities." Maya smiled. Kai had been a propulsion engineer before the invasion. Now he led the most effective resistance cell on Nova Terra. "What have you found, Kai?" "Everything!" His voice was breathless with excitement. "Their ship's database is extensive. The Vex have been doing this for millennia, finding species, analyzing them, integrating the useful aspects, and discarding the rest. But here's the crucial part. Humans aren't the first to resist." Maya leaned forward. "There are others?" "Dozens of species across 3 galaxies," Kai confirmed. "Most were conquered, but they're still here, working as essentially biological components in the Vex machine. And I've made contact with some of them." Governor Richards looked stunned. "You're telling me there are alien resistance fighters aboard that ship?" "Not fighters exactly," Kai explained. "More like saboteurs. They've been subtly disrupting Vex operations for generations, waiting for an opportunity. They think we might be that opportunity." Maya's mind raced with possibilities. "What species are we talking about?" "The most organized are called the Terex," Kai replied. "Insectoid species with distributed neural networks. The Vex use them for computational tasks, but the Terex have developed a kind of collective consciousness the Vex don't recognize. There are others, too. The Marole, who can manipulate energy fields, and the Delvians, who evolve new adaptations within a single generation." "Can these species help us fight back?" Richards asked. "They already are," Kai said. "The Marole have shown me a way to access the Vex communication network. If we can introduce an information virus into their system—" "Like a computer virus?" Maya interrupted. "Similar but more fundamental," Kai explained. "The Vex share information through quantum-entangled pathways. Once something enters their network, it propagates instantly across their entire civilization. The Terex believe that if we introduce enough unpredictability into this network, the entire Vex system will be unable to process it." Maya turned to her workstation. "Send me everything you have. I think I know how we can create the perfect virus." For the next 3 days, Maya worked without rest, collaborating remotely with Kai and the alien resistance. The Vex continued their siege of the city, but their actions had become increasingly erratic as they struggled to process the random behaviors Maya had introduced. "It's ready," she finally announced to Richards. "I've created an algorithm that generates truly random outcomes, not pseudo-random like most computer systems, but fundamentally unpredictable patterns based on quantum fluctuations." "Will it work?" Richards asked. In theory, yes, Maya said. The Vex process information by identifying patterns and optimizing responses. This virus creates information their systems literally cannot process, like trying to divide by 0. Their entire network should freeze while trying to calculate a response. Richards looked skeptical. And how do we deliver this virus to their network? Maya smiled grimly. That's where the Terex come in. They've identified a Vex communication node on the mothership. Kai and his team are going to physically connect our device to it. That's a suicide mission, Richards protested. Probably, Maya agreed solemnly. But it's our only chance to save not just Nova Terra, but all of humanity. In orbit, Kai Chen led his small team through the cavernous interior of the Vex mothership. Beside him moved a Terex, a being resembling a 2-meter-tall praying mantis with iridescent exoskeleton and compound eyes that reflected the ship's ambient light in rainbow patterns. The communication node is 3 chambers ahead, the Terex communicated through a translation device. It is guarded by sentinel units. Kai checked the small device strapped to his wrist, Maya's virus, contained in a quantum storage medium. How many sentinels? Typically 6, the Terex replied. But the ship is in disarray due to your colony's erratic behavior. Many units have been deployed to the surface. They moved silently through corridors of polished obsidian, passing chambers where other alien species worked under Vex supervision. Some looked up as they passed, their eyes showing a spark of something long suppressed. Hope. When they reached the communication node, they found only 2 sentinels guarding it. The Terex stepped forward, its mandibles clicking softly. I will distract them. When they pursue me, you must act quickly. Before Kai could protest, the Terex scuttled into view of the sentinels. The Vex units immediately detected the unauthorized presence and moved to intercept. The Terex led them away with surprising speed. Kai rushed to the communication node, a crystalline structure pulsing with golden light. He attached Maya's device to its surface and activated it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the golden light within the crystal began to flicker, shifting through colors, its rhythm becoming erratic. Throughout the ship, similar nodes began to pulse in the same chaotic pattern. Alarms blared. Kai felt the massive ship shudder beneath him. The virus was working, spreading through the Vex network, introducing chaos into their perfect system. A Vex commander appeared at the chamber entrance, its geometric form shifting violently. What have you done? The harmonic voice had lost all semblance of control. Kai faced the alien, a grim smile on his face. Introduced you to a little human unpredictability. Good luck processing that. The commander lunged forward. But before it could reach Kai, its form froze mid-motion. The geometric shapes locked in an impossible configuration as its processing capacity was overwhelmed by Maya's virus. Kai didn't wait to see more. He ran back the way he had come, finding the Terex waiting for him. It's done, he told the alien. How long before it affects the entire ship? It already has, the Terex replied, its compound eyes reflecting the increasingly chaotic lights throughout the corridor. And not just this ship. The virus has entered the quantum network. It is spreading to all Vex vessels, all Vex worlds. On the surface, Maya watched in awe as the massive Vex mothership's lights flickered in random patterns. The smaller Vex units throughout the city had frozen in place, their functions disrupted by the cascading chaos in their network. It's working, she whispered to Richards. The virus is overwhelming their systems. Her communication device activated. Kai's voice came through, breathless but triumphant. Maya, we did it! The Vex command structure is collapsing. The Terex and other species are taking control of key systems. But there's more. The virus isn't just affecting this ship. It's spreading through their entire empire. Maya's hands trembled as she realized the magnitude of what they'd accomplished. All of it? Across all 17,000 systems? All of it, Kai confirmed. The Vex built their empire on perfect uniformity. One flaw in that uniformity is all it took to bring it down. Governor Richards looked stunned. So we've won. Just like that? Maya shook her head. Not just like that. The Vex are still out there, still powerful, but we've given them something they've never encountered before. A problem they cannot solve. And we've given their captive species a chance at freedom. Outside, the smaller Vex units began to collapse, their processing systems completely overwhelmed. The mothership's lights steadied into a new pattern, not the precise golden glow of Vex control, but a rainbow of colors representing the many species now claiming their freedom. Across human space, the same scene played out as Vex ships, and ground forces froze, their perfect uniformity shattered by Maya's virus of unpredictability. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity could breathe again. But as Maya well knew, this was just the beginning. The Vex Empire spanned 3 galaxies. The war had only just begun, and now it would be fought not just by humans, but by every species the Vex had ever tried to integrate. "Send word to Admiral Reyes," Maya told Richards. "Tell her we've found allies, and we've found a weakness. Tell her humanity is no longer fighting alone." The Symphony of Chaos, the Vex Imperium, had stood undefeated for 100,000 cycles. Now, 1 year after the deployment of the unpredictability virus, the once mighty empire was fracturing along every seam. Admiral Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the Defiance, now enhanced with technology developed in collaboration with humanity's new allies. The viewscreen showed a real-time map of the rebellion spreading across Vex space. Thousands of systems where formerly subjugated species were rising up against their weakened masters. "Report from the Terex Collective, Admiral," her communications officer announced. "Their forces have secured control of the Hextant sector. All Vex units neutralized." Elena nodded, still amazed by how quickly events had unfolded. The virus created by Dr. Maya Okafor had done more than just temporarily disrupt Vex systems. It had fundamentally altered their processing architecture, forcing them to dedicate enormous resources to filtering out the chaos it introduced. "And the Morol energy ships?" she asked. "They've successfully liberated 3 more Vex processing worlds," Commander Ishida reported. "The Delvians have already begun terraforming them for multi-species habitation." Elena studied the strategic display. Of the 17,000 systems once controlled by the Vex, nearly 12,000 had now declared independence. The remaining 5,000, the core of the Vex Imperium, had isolated themselves behind a massive energy barrier, cutting off the quantum communication networks that had made them vulnerable. "They're adapting," Elena observed. "Slowly, but they're learning." Ishida nodded. "Yes, but their adaptation follows predictable patterns. They sacrifice efficiency for security, something that goes against their fundamental nature. It's weakening them from within." The turbolift doors opened and Dr. Maya Okafor entered the bridge. The scientist had become something of a legend among both humans and their alien allies, her virus having changed the course of the war. "Admiral, I've completed my analysis of the data from our infiltration teams," Maya reported. "We've located the Vex central consciousness. It's in the Sagittarius arm, orbiting a neutron star they call the perfect source." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Can we reach it through their energy barrier?" "Not directly," Maya said. "But the Terex have identified fluctuations in the barrier that correspond to Vex supply vessels. They have to maintain some connection to their outer territories, and that's our way in." Elena turned to the tactical display. "How many ships would we need?" "That's the beauty of it," Maya smiled. "Just one. With the right modifications, we can use the Defiance as a carrier for a specially designed variant of the virus, but we'll need help from all our allies." In the weeks that followed, the Defiance underwent a transformation. Terex engineers reinforced its hull with their unique crystalline alloys. Morol energy specialists installed modules that could absorb and redirect Vex weaponry. Delvian biologists integrated living circuitry that could adapt to any countermeasures the Vex deployed. Kai Chen, now serving as the liaison between humanity and the alien resistance, oversaw the installation of a new propulsion system developed from salvaged Vex technology. "This will get us through their barrier," he explained to Elena as they inspected the engines. "It creates a localized quantum field that will make the Defiance appear to the barrier as if it's part of the Vex fleet." "And once we're through?" Elena asked. "That's where the real challenge begins," Kai admitted. "We'll be deep in Vex territory, surrounded by their most elite forces. The central consciousness will detect us almost immediately." "Then we need to be faster than almost immediately," Elena said firmly. "How's the new virus coming along?" "Dr. Okafor has outdone herself," Kai replied with admiration. "The original virus introduced random elements into their network. This new version actually feeds on their attempts to create order. The more they try to organize their response, the more chaotic their systems become." When the preparations were complete, representatives from all the allied species gathered on the Defiance for what might be their final mission briefing. The ship's conference room had been modified to accommodate the diverse physiologies of their allies. "The plan is simple in concept," Elena addressed the assembled leaders. "We penetrate the energy barrier using the quantum disguise. We proceed directly to the central consciousness. We deploy the virus. We escape during the ensuing chaos." A Terex representative raised a limb. "The Vex will sacrifice any number of units to stop us. Their collective survival instinct will override all other priorities." "That's what we're counting on," Maya explained. "The more resources they commit to stopping us, the more vulnerable they become to the virus. Their strength, their perfect coordination, becomes their weakness." The Marol delegate, a being composed of swirling energy contained within a humanoid force field, spoke next. "Our analysis suggests a 17.3% probability of success." "I've faced worse odds," Elena replied with a grim smile, "and I'm willing to bet none of your statistical models account for human determination." The Delvian representative, whose species had evolved in the harsh environment of a supergiant's corona, chittered in agreement. "Probability is meaningless when dealing with humans. We have observed this repeatedly." As the meeting concluded, Elena addressed her human crew. "What we're about to attempt has never been done before. We're going to strike at the heart of an empire that has dominated 3 galaxies for longer than our species has existed. Every one of you volunteered for this mission knowing the risks. I couldn't be prouder to serve with you." The Defiance departed the following day, accompanied by an escort of allied vessels that would remain outside the energy barrier. As they approached the massive golden field that surrounded Vex core territory, tension on the bridge was palpable. "Quantum. Disguise active," Kai reported from the engineering station. "To their sensors, we should appear as Vex Transport Designation 793, returning from the Orion sector." "Barrier approaching in 30 seconds, Ishida announced. Elena gripped the arms of her command chair. "All systems to stealth mode. Power signatures at minimum." The Defiance slipped through the energy barrier like a ghost, its modified systems mimicking Vex quantum signatures perfectly. Beyond the barrier lay the heart of the Vex Imperium, hundreds of perfectly arranged worlds and stations, all orbiting. The blinding light of the neutron star they called the perfect source. "Their coordination is incredible," Maya whispered, staring at the sensor displays. "Every planet, every station, perfectly positioned for maximum efficiency." "And at the center?" Elena asked. Ishida adjusted the sensors. "There. That structure orbiting closest to the neutron star. It's absorbing energy directly from the stellar remnant." On the view screen, a massive construct appeared, a perfect dodecahedron with each face composed of smaller geometric patterns. That shifted in complex synchronization. Golden energy flowed from the neutron star into the structure, powering the central consciousness of the entire Vex Imperium. "We've been detected," Kai suddenly announced. "Quantum disguise failing. Across the Vex territory, alarm signals propagated. Hundreds of warships changed course, converging on the Defiance's position. "Maximum speed," Elena ordered. "Get us to that structure before they can intercept." The Defiance surged forward, its modified engines pushing beyond human technology's limits. Vex defensive platforms activated, firing golden beams that the Emerald shields absorbed and redirected. "They're adapting to our shields," Ishida warned. "Each attack is more precise than the last." Terex countermeasures online, Kai reported. The crystalline hull extensions began to refract the Vex attacks, scattering their perfect beams into harmless dispersed energy. As they approached the central consciousness, a massive Vex flagship moved to block their path. Unlike the uniformly geometric vessels they had encountered before, this ship shifted its configuration constantly, adapting in real time. "They've incorporated our tactics," Maya realized with alarm. "They're using unpredictability against us." "Then we go back to basics," Elena decided. "All power to forward shields. Prepare for impact." The crew braced as the Defiance plowed directly into the Vex flagship. The impact was tremendous, but the Terex crystalline reinforcements held. They burst. Through the other side, trailing debris but still functional. "Central consciousness within range," Ishida reported. "Deploying virus payload." From the Defiance's launch tubes, a swarm of small probes shot toward the dodecahedron structure. Each contained a copy of Maya's enhanced virus, designed to infiltrate the most protected Vex systems. "Probes intercepted," Kai shouted as Vex defensive measures destroyed half the swarm. "Keep going," Maya urged, her eyes fixed on the display. "We only need one to reach it." 3 probes made contact with the central consciousness. Their outer shells dissolved, allowing the virus to flow directly into the Vex's most sacred architecture. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the perfect geometric patterns of the dodecahedron began to shift irregularly. Golden energy pulsed in erratic bursts. Across Vex space, their perfectly coordinated fleet faltered. "It's working," Maya breathed. The view screen activated without command. A Vex entity appeared, not the familiar geometric form, but something more complex, more evolved. When it spoke, its harmonic voice contained emotions never before heard from the Vex. "What have you done?" it asked, its form shifting between order and chaos. Elena stood to face the entity. "We've introduced you to the concept of unpredictability, something your perfect systems can never truly understand." "We are the Vex," the entity stated. "We have existed in perfect order for 100,000 cycles. We have integrated thousands of species. We cannot be defeated by chaos," Elena finished. "By the very thing that makes humanity and our allies strong. We don't seek perfect order. We thrive in uncertainty. We evolve through unpredictability." The Vex entity's form stabilized briefly. "You offer disorder and call it strength?" "We offer diversity," Elena corrected. "Each species with its own perspective, its own approach to problems. Not a single perfect solution, but countless possible solutions." Around them, the Vex fleet had completely halted, caught in the paralysis of trying to process concepts fundamentally incompatible with their nature. "Get us out of here," Elena ordered quietly. "Our work is done." As the Defiance turned away from the central consciousness, the structure at the heart of the Vex Imperium continued to pulse with increasingly chaotic energy. Not destruction, but transformation. 6 months later, representatives from over 300 formerly subjugated species gathered on Earth for the formation of the Galactic Concordat. Admiral Elena Reyes, Dr. Maya Okafor, and Kai Chen sat alongside delegates from the Terex, Marol, Delvians, and dozens of other species. Most surprising was the presence of a Vex representative, one of a small faction that had embraced the chaos, introduced by the virus and evolved beyond their former limitations. The Vex Imperium as it existed for 100,000 cycles is gone, the evolved Vex announced to the assembly. Those who clung to perfect order have retreated to isolated systems where they continue to calculate responses to your virus, a task that will occupy them for eternity. Those of us who have adapted seek to join your concordat, to learn the strength that comes from unpredictability. Elena addressed the assembled delegates. 1 year ago, humanity stood alone against a force that had dominated 3 galaxies for longer than our civilization has existed. We were outmatched in technology, in numbers, and in experience. But we possessed something the Vex could not comprehend. Our unpredictability, our chaos, our ability to find strength in diversity rather than uniformity. The assembled delegates applauded. Species that had been enslaved for thousands of years now stood as equals, their unique adaptations and perspectives valued rather than exploited. The concordat we established today, Elena continued, is founded on a principle the Vex could never understand, that the greatest strength comes not from perfect uniformity, but from the harmonious integration of our differences. Each species brings unique perspectives, unique solutions, unique ways of thinking. Together, we are stronger than any empire built on forced conformity. Maya Okafor, seated beside the admiral, surveyed the diverse gathering with satisfaction. Her virus had done more than defeat an enemy. It had liberated countless civilizations and created the foundation for something entirely new. The evolved Vex representative approached Maya after the ceremony. Its form still contained geometric elements, but now these shifted in organic, unpredictable patterns. Creator of chaos, it addressed her with what seemed like respect. My kind still struggles to comprehend the concept you introduced to us. Some call it a virus, others call it enlightenment. What do you call it? Maya asked. The Vex's form rippled thoughtfully. Freedom, a concept we had calculated to be inefficient. We were incorrect. Across the former Vex Imperium, a remarkable transformation was occurring. Worlds that had been arranged in perfect geometric patterns were being reshaped according to the needs and desires of their inhabitants. Ships that once moved in perfect formation now explored in directions dictated by curiosity rather than efficiency. The crystalline precision of Vex architecture was giving way to diverse structures that incorporated elements from hundreds of cultures. Kai Chen had taken command of a joint expedition to the former Vex homeworld, a planet they had abandoned millennia ago when they transferred their consciousness to artificial constructs. The world was being terraformed by Delvian specialists, preparing it for settlement by multiple species. It's strange, he told Elena during a communication. The Vex left this world because they considered biological existence inefficient and chaotic. Now we're reclaiming it precisely because we value those qualities. On what had once been the edge of Vex space, a monument was constructed, a massive sculpture representing the hundreds of species now united in the concordat. At its center stood a simple plaque. To chaos, which defeated order. To diversity, which overcame uniformity. To adaptation, which surpassed perfection. Not all challenges had been overcome. The remaining Vex loyalists, though diminished, still possessed formidable technology. Other threats lurked in the unexplored regions beyond former Vex territory. But for the first time in millennia, the species of 3 galaxies faced these. Challenges not as masters and slaves, but as equals. In her quarters aboard the Defiance, now serving as a diplomatic vessel, Elena reviewed reports from across concordat space. The ship had been enhanced with technology shared by a dozen different species, becoming a symbol of the integration they now championed. Commander Ishida entered with the latest updates. The Terex Collective has completed their survey of the Andromeda approach. No sign of the Vex loyalists, but they've discovered something else. Evidence of another empire beyond the galactic rim. Elena raised an eyebrow. Hostile. Unknown, Ishida replied. But if they are, They'll find a very different galaxy than the one the Vex once dominated. Not a collection of isolated species ripe for conquest, but a concordate founded on mutual strength, and the principle that you should never underestimate a species just because they're young, Elena added with a smile, as the Defiance prepared to depart for a diplomatic mission to the farthest reaches of the Concordat. Elena looked out at the stars. The Vex had ruled for 100,000 cycles, spreading their perfect order across 3 galaxies. They had encountered countless species, all of which they had analyzed, categorized, and either integrated or discarded, until they met humans. In the end, the Vex had made the most fundamental error possible. They had dismissed humanity as primitive because of their youth and their chaos. They had failed to recognize that in chaos lay humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, to improvise, to embrace the unpredictable. The Vex Empire had laughed at Earth's threats. Now their planets were silent, their perfect order transformed by the very chaos they had despised. And the species they had subjugated were free to forge their own destinies alongside their human allies. As humanity and their new allies looked to the future, one thing was certain. Whatever challenges awaited them beyond the stars, they would face them not with perfect order, but with the beautiful, unpredictable chaos that had proven to be the greatest force in the universe.